Hey everyone, this week's video topic comes to me from you and all of your requests. Anxiety disorders, what are they and what do we do? So stay tuned. So like I said, this week's topic is anxiety disorders. And after getting that request from many of you and then looking through the DSM, what actually falls under anxiety disorders? What is that criteria? Blah, 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 blah. There are a lot. And a couple of them I've already touched on. And a couple of them I will touch on in future videos. But one is PTSD. And that is in a video that I did probably about 2 months ago or so. So check out my PTSD video for questions and comments about that. But another one that I've had requested is OCD, which also falls under anxiety disorders, and that's obsessive compulsive disorder. And I will do a video on that at a later time. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel, because when I put it out, you're going to want to know. So the first thing I want to touch on, and I have my DSM here, my handy dandy DSM. And just to try to make this as clear as possible, the first part of anxiety disorders that I want to talk about, wow, that is a mouthful, anxiety disorders, blah, 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 is generalized anxiety disorder, or GAD, which I will call it from now on because that makes it so much easier. So GAD is an excessive anxiety and worry occurring more days than not for a period of at least 6 months. And I guess the best way that I can think of this presenting itself in my office is when I have a patient who all they do is worry about, let's see, what people think of them. And that happens a lot. Obviously, this cannot otherwise be attributed to an eating disorder or something like that. If someone just has anxiety over something else that can be accounted for in another diagnosis, it's not GAD. But when I have people who have GAD, it's almost like they worry so much about everything in their life. Like, I don't want to be late for this, and what if I don't get 100% on that test, and oh my gosh, and my apartment isn't clean, and my friends are coming over. I mean, everything is excessive worry. And the way that I always think excessive is that it's more intense of a worry than the actual situation warrants. So I know that sounds like therapy talk and it's kind of annoying, but what I mean is, like, for me, if people are coming over to my house and I was like, well, my house isn't really clean, I'd be like, well, when I get home, I'll tidy up as quick as I can and let it be what it be, right? Because they're my friends and they'll love me anyway. So that would be a normal, quote unquote, normal relative worry where you're like, oh, it's dirty, but I need to clean it. And then you're over it, right? Oh, I'll just do this and da da da. But a person with GAD can't really do that. They will excessively worry about it so much that it can ruin their day, and they might want to try to leave work early, and they may even hurt other people's feelings or do other things that are bad for them in order to alleviate this worry. Okay? So that's GAD, generalized anxiety disorder. And as with all of the things that I talk about, I mean, anxiety disorders have at least 50 pages in the DSM, so this is a very succinct version. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is social phobia. Now, many of you talk about having social anxiety, and from what I can read in the DSM, social anxiety isn't actually a diagnosis under the anxiety disorders. It would be called social phobia. And they say that the essential feature of social phobia is a marked and persistent fear of social or performance situations in which embarrassment may occur. Now, I find this to be most prevalent with my teen clients and my young adult clients, the ones in college and stuff, because we're in social situations a lot, and it can be very, we may be in a new high school and we're already nervous. And so then we start to worry about what everybody thinks, and we don't want to be embarrassed, and we don't want to embarrass ourselves, and oh, that person's giggling, oh, they're giggling about me. And that's kind of how this presents itself. We think that a lot of times anybody that's giggling or looking, or somebody is pointing, we automatically think that they're talking about us, we're doing something embarrassing, and it's terrible. So that's kind of what social phobia is. And under social phobia, it says social anxiety disorder. So that's kind of where that falls. And that is something that I honestly, along with all the anxiety disorders, it's really important that we go to therapy and we talk about this with someone and we kind of process it through. And in my experience, CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, is the best with this, because we'll do what we call like downward, I think it's actually technically downward arrow questioning, where we try to logically talk ourselves out of these, kind of anxiety provoking situations. Like, okay, well, there are 700 people in, the cafeteria today. What are the chances that that person is laughing about us? Well, 1 in 700. Well, is that really, a high risk situation? Is it most likely that they're thinking and laughing about me, or is it less likely that they're thinking and laughing about me? Well, it's probably less likely. We can kind of talk ourselves out of it. So if you suffer from social anxiety or social phobia and you're wondering what to do about it, I would look into seeing a CBT therapist, okay? So that's just a little tip. And then, what is agoraphobia? Everybody talks about that too, right? And that falls under this as well. Now, agoraphobia differs from social anxiety or social phobia in that it doesn't have to do with social situations. It's not relational. It's not like, well, that girl is pointing at me and she's being really mean, or that guy was whispering and I know he was whispering about me. It's not relational with those kinds of people. It is all to do with us getting into a situation, which usually is social or just out of our house, out of our comfort zone. So we may be safe at home, we may be safe at work, but anything else is not safe. And our main concern is that we'll get somewhere and we can't leave. Either we can't leave easily or without embarrassment. And that's our biggest worry, is like, I'm gonna get somewhere and then I'm gonna start to feel too overwhelmed, and then I won't be able to leave, or I'll have to embarrass myself in front of people to leave because I'll be stuck, like I'm in the middle seat in this opera and I'm gonna have to get up and disturb all these people. It's gonna be really embarrassing for me. So that's kind of more what agoraphobia is versus social anxiety. So social anxiety is more relational. Agoraphobia is just like situational, if that makes sense. That's kind of, in my mind, how if I had my whiteboard, I would draw a line and I would break them down like that. So that is that. Then there are panic attacks and panic disorder. Now, panic attacks, I know many of you have said that you've had them and that you have them a lot and they're really overwhelming. And that's the truth. They really suck. They're terrible. And they not only come on quickly, but once we have them, then we always worry that we're going to have more of them. And the symptoms of panic attacks can be, they say, somatic or cognitive in nature. So it can be like heart palpitations, I can be sweating, I can be trembling, I can be shaking. The most common thing that I hear in my practice is I feel like I'm drowning. And I think that's because we have those heart palpitations and we don't breathe very well and we feel like we're drowning. And so these will happen usually in 10 minutes or less. And you can have a panic attack, but only if, and I want to make sure I say this correctly, only if we have recurrent and unexpected panic attacks followed by at least a month of worry that we're going to have another, do we have panic disorder. Okay? So that's how those differentiate, because panic attacks can happen, and some of us with generalized anxiety disorder may have a panic attack every once in a while when we're put in a really stressful situation. But unless we have them recurrent and we worry about them all the time, we don't have panic disorder. We would have generalized anxiety disorder or agoraphobia with panic attacks. Okay? So that's how those are differentiated. And just to give you an idea of how many other things are included under anxiety disorders, we have panic disorder without agoraphobia, panic disorder with agoraphobia. So you can see how all of these can be attached onto one another, with or without. And so that's why I just gave you, those most common and what I hear most from you and what you wanted me to talk about. So that is an umbrella view and the most common panic related and anxiety related disorders and different attacks that we can have. Okay? So now, what the heck do we do? Well, the first thing is I would definitely see a therapist, and I would also look into seeing your doctor, your GP, or your psychiatrist, because of the physical things that can come up when we have anxiety. And we want to make sure that not only are we our physical health is under control and managed, but we also want to make sure that our anxiety isn't causing any damage to anything. I mean, I've had a client who had a little heart valve issue because of all the panic attacks and the breathing. And I mean, she had a predisposition to that before, but you just want to make sure that everything is okay and that these aren't being caused by a medical condition. And that's really important. That's something that I don't think I mention enough, is when we think we have a certain mental disorder, that's why we need to go to our primary care doctor always, because we want to make sure that it can't be attributed to something else. Because a lot of people will diagnose us and they'll be wrong. And it's not because they're not good clinicians, there's just a lot to factor in. And I want to make sure that we know that this is not being caused by something else. And if we cannot get these things under control and our panic attacks potentially are, making school really hard, or we could potentially lose our job and things like that, we want to make sure that if we need medication, they can give us that and they can help us out. And a CBT therapist or just a regular talk therapist can really, really help as we figure out where this came from, why we're doing it, and we can kind of talk ourselves out. Like I talked that downward arrow questioning, and it can sometimes help us out of that. So make sure to take a look at that. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, because I will do a video on OCD that will be coming up really soon. So stay tuned for that. And like I said, I already did a video on PTSD, and I've done some videos on anxiety 101 and breathing techniques, because those can help sometimes when we feel our anxiety building. And so I would take a look at those and check those out. And don't forget to leave your comments below. I know many of you, so many of you struggle with this and you've asked me to do this video. So please leave your comments. If there are other things you want me to talk about, if you have tips and tricks and things that work for you, please share them. Our community is amazing and it's growing and you're all helping each other. And I love to watch it, to be honest. It's very exciting. So keep working with me, keep helping one another as we work towards a healthy mind and a healthy body. Okay, good. Yeah. I'm overheating. Overheating. If I was like a little thermometer, it'd be like, ooh, the little steam would be coming out, a little red light would be flashing. Hey. Okay, time to get outside, do something fun. Yeah, yeah. Maybe get a tan, because I am like a ghost. Yeah.